In this video, I will show you two unique sampling features that are exclusive to MPC 3.0, which has been released publicly. So if you have not checked out MPC 3.0, I highly recommend it because there are some other features that we'll talk about in the future. And it will work on all the MPCs. It doesn't matter which MPC that you own. This is specifically for the firmware update for standalone MPCs. And if you wish to further support us, you can check us out at 16levels.com, where I have masterclasses available to you. I have all the masterclasses updated to 3.0 except for the MPC Key 61, which I do not own anymore. And if you're on the hunt for an MPC, I will be selling my MPC Key 37. It's slightly used. But anyways, let's begin. So I pulled up a track. It sounds like this. And what I'm going to do is try to find something that will work for it and that will demonstrate momentary sampling. So on your favorite MPC of choice, in this video, I'll just use this folder sign right here. This folder icon will bring me right into my browser. And then I will go on a search for a loop that will work for this particular track. So I have the sample right here. I'll just go ahead and play it. And it's one of the main things that you might want to use is a sample that has like the BPM and stuff like that. The next thing you'll do is you'll just go into sample edit. Once you go into sample edit, you'll see the sample right here. The main thing that you need to make sure is that you go over here to BPM. I know the BPM of this sample is 101, but I'll go over here because I'll probably need to change it a little later. The main reason why I say I'll change it a little later because the sample itself or the track is at 75 BPM. So it's good to know what you might have to adjust to. So what I'll do is I'll go into process over here. Let's go into process. And since it's already a perfect loop, there's no need to trim or anything like that, discard or anything. So I'll just go over here to time stretch. So I notice that it says like the beat and then the ratio is 100. The new tempo, the original tempo is 101. So you need to make it just go ahead and enter that in, distinguish that. And the new tempo will be at 75. So let's go ahead and type that in. So that's just one thing that you want to make sure that you understand when you are working with a sample. And we're going to use that within here. Of course, the next thing we'll do is go over here to like regions chop. You can use BPM chopping or whatnot. I'm going to go over here to regions chop. I'm going to lower the region to something that is even. So I think I'll go as low as 4 regions. And I accidentally added a chop. So if you ever add anything in that you don't want, you can either clear all. So you press like shift and clear all, shift clear all, and then I'll just enter it again. So it's in 4 regions. And now we're pretty much done with that. You would just go about the process per usual, which is shift, convert, and then choose new drum track using slices. You can also do other things too. You could shift and then let's say we'll just add like a reverse in there or something like that. I don't know how well this will work, but it's all about experimenting. That's why we do this, right? To find something, a new bop. So I don't think that would be cool. So, I just tried that out. So I'll just undo it. And we're good to go. So we'll just go ahead and convert it over and hit do it. And this is where things get a little deeper. Now in the rabbit hole here. So now we have a new track. We can just go ahead and double tap on the screen and it will bring us right into track editing, or what used to be called program editing. Now the main thing here is how do we access Momentary? So what we'll go over here to this category where it says slice pad and then slice all. This will give us some new categories over here. You see slice 1, And then now you can go over here and set the motion, incremental, random. So now we can choose all, slice 1, and everything like that. Now the next thing we need to do is we could just record notes down into the arranger or into the grid. So we just continuously just press this. I'm pressing one pad, you can see it's cycling through. So let's go ahead and record that in. 2, 3, 4. And as you can hear, it gave the track a new timbre. So I'll just go ahead and mute for a second so you can hear how the track sounded before without the momentary chops. And now this is what the end result is with the momentary chopping. Of course, you know, you can do a little bit more, such as adding effects. Like I might want to add some type of filter. Let's go with a high pass filter. I don't want all that chunkiness of the sample in there. You know, just a simple, typical things that you would do to blend stuff into your track. Let's go back into the main here. And, you know, you can continue the process however you would like. What I'm going to do is go back in here and show you a couple other things too, because once we went into I chose random, by the way. I chose random. There is increments, so let's hear that. You can change the cycles of it too. So if I go to cycle 2, you can hear subtle changes in it. The other sampling feature is a little bit more straightforward. What we'll do is just hop back into the browser over here. Let's go into the browser and we'll find a sample that will help in this regard. We got this sample right here. Let me go ahead and play it for you. And it is at 101 BPM. We'll just go ahead and load that in to our pool of samples over here. So again, if you look at samples as sample assigned, you can see it over here. We're not going to press anything because we're on a program in itself. So what we'll do though is go into sample edit and find that particular sample. So that sounds about right. That is the sample here. We'll just go into trim. We don't have to do anything in trim. You see that it is at 101 BPM. It is noted that. And if you just look at the top part, the sample is labeled properly. So we don't have to worry about anything like that. So the next thing we do want to go is where we want to go is over here to chop. We'll chop it up, but we'll use like threshold chopping. And as you can see, it's just not in any fractional position where it will kind of fixate in the same manner that it was in momentary chopping. And from here, we'll just go ahead and press and hold shift. So press and hold shift on your MPC of choice. And we're going to go into a new mode, which is this right here. So I know that the sample in itself, so audio track from samples. So we're going to create a new track. We're going to turn warp off. It is important that you count the bars. So that sample played for 1 bar. So you need to know that. So if you ever chop up a sample or anything like that, then you need to know how many bars. So you need to count the bars. So let's just pretend for a second we didn't know. I'll just go ahead and delete everything, or delete the count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know it's 1 bar. So you got to make sure that you know that. We'll go back into threshold chopping over here into that mode. And then we'll go right back, press and hold shift, go back into convert. And then again, audio track from samples. So remember the track's BPM is at 75. And if you have a perfectly chopped loop, then you should be okay at any given moment here. So what we'll do is create a new track, and then now we'll go into main and we'll see the new track over here, and we'll just do the following. So when we do the following, we'll just go over here into, let's go menu here, go into the arranger. And now when we look at the arranger here, we see we have a new track. We'll just make this a 1-bar loop. So it's 1 bar, and it was 101 BPM. We're not using any time stretching. It has some way and some witchcraft of a Kai has stretched it itself. Now remember, when you are in this screen, which is the arranger screen, you can add more stuff, okay? So if you have to select anything and duplicate it over or make a copy of it, you would just make sure that you're mindful of the playhead. So if we're mindful of the playhead, we select everything. We need to select all the chops here, if you'll allow us to. Don't worry, I'm just as green behind the ears as everybody else. From this point on, press the hold shift, copy. We're gonna copy all of that because we just highlighted everything. So moving the playhead over, we'll just have to go to our second Q link button right over here. You can see it at the top right of the screen or whatnot. And you can see where I'm at on my MPC Key 37. And now we have access to the playhead. Move the playhead over. We'll go ahead and move the bars over. So we need to move the loop end over about 1 bar. We'll minimize or shrink it a little bit so we can kind of shrink it down, and then make sure it is highlighted, of course. Moving the playhead over a bit. Boom, boom, boom. And then you can paste it over. If everything is pasted, if it's done correctly, it'll paste over. And as you can see, it's as simple as that. You can rinse and repeat the process. And now we have everything pasted over. And of course, if you have to do anything to make this project work, then, just do as you would. The main thing that I would do in this instance here is just go into the channel mixer, and then I would just go to effects. We'll go and add an effect to that audio filter so we don't have too much of the frequency. Those are the two new sampling modes that you have in 3.0 that you do not. They will never ever be in 2.0 or whatnot. So that might be a reason for you to move over to 3.0. Hopefully I showed you a decent track to do it on. I would definitely like to hear from you guys in the comments section. How do you feel about the 2 new sampling features? Momentary sampling is decent, especially if you are into drum and bass or anything kind of left field when it comes to your production. It doesn't necessarily have to be drum and bass. It's just an example or whatever. And then the other sampling feature it just shows you how much Akai has progressed in terms of not using time warping or anything like that, but just being able to stretch a sample out as long as you know how long, or if you know how to count your bars and when you are importing a loop.